I feel like black people get in this, part where it's like choose, Africa or like, the Afrocentric and all of this, or like you can be anti-America. It's like, but this is, unwillingly, sure, but this is what we made roses out of, and it's dope.
The Who Do You Think You Are podcast is sponsored by Good Trip Inc. It's a super dope gallery with a super dope artist that owns it. Black owned, 416 South McDowell Street, downtown Raleigh. Y'all come through, check him out. Tell him that SP the Writer sent you.
Owner of Good Trip Tattoo and Art. My passion is creating art, and there's no better feeling than seeing a happy client.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Why are you nervous for?
I don't know. I'm an introvert. I'm quiet. So
I did know that you were an introvert, but it's almost nobody here.
I know.
It's just us.
I'll
We
be
just
fine.
chilling.
It's all good. I used to teach, so I should be okay.
What grade?
Middle school. Yeah.
I was terrible in middle school.
No, they as crazy as people's faces.
What subjects did you teach?
I was health and phys ed.
Okay.
So
that's not.
It's not too
super
bad. I used to be a coach in that, but then I went to teaching twice. So when I went back to teaching, I was an alternative learning coordinator. So that's more so like the kids who get kicked out of class,
right,
or they're behind on their academics.
Gotcha.
So I like both, actually. Both fit my personality. So.
How long ago were you teaching? Or do you still teach?
A couple years ago.
Oh, you
No, I quit in 2019.
Okay.
Officially. But
Officially.
I've quit before that.
We're gonna get into that. Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
So, yeah.
Got you. All right, so Miss Nadia, we are here, and I always start off every podcast by asking, who do you think you are?
Okay, should I look at you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We ain't worried about
okay.
them. Yeah, we ain't worried about them.
Okay. So who do I think I am?
Yeah.
I am Nadia. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a creator and the artist and designer of African American the Beautiful.
Right.
Got
mine. Took me a minute, but I got one though.
Look,
it's
all good.
I literally was at home and was like, I done did a commercial. I done did all this stuff, but I hadn't bought one. I'm like, let me get one.
No, it's all good. And I love black people. I love my brand. I love my culture. And I'm originally from Charlotte. Former teacher, former athlete, and that's pretty much it about me.
So we're gonna jump into the sports real quick, because I used to hoop.
Oh, really?
Did you play basketball? What did you play?
I did. So they're not gonna be able to tell, but I'm tall woman.
Right.
I'm 6 feet. So you basically are recruited when you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because I was tall. So I did do basketball, but and I played pretty much basketball year round, AAU, all of that. I did all of that.
So you were pretty straight in there.
I was straight, even if I didn't want to be. I had to be. But then I also played volleyball.
Okay.
And so volleyball ended up becoming my main sport.
Gotcha.
In college. So I played at North Carolina Central volleyball.
That's what's up. What year did you graduate high school?
05.
05. Okay, so you and my brother graduated the same year. I graduated in 01.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
You and my brother graduated the same year. So y'all the same age.
So how was playing volleyball in college?
Oh, it's a grind.
It's a grind.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So your high school years are your best years playing a sport, for sure. College becomes more of a business.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. I don't regret it. You get a lot of experience out of it. So it's really cool.
And you played all 4 years?
I played 3 years.
Played 3 years. What happened to the fourth year?
I thought I was done with sports my freshman year, and then I was bored. So I felt like I just wanted to walk on to a team, and I was able to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So she was like, nah, I'm good. I'm straight. Nah, actually, I kind of want to spike something on somebody's head.
Yeah. When you play sports year round, like I know anybody knows that grind, like it can be overwhelming because you do it all the time.
All the time.
So sometimes you just need a break, but I realized that's what I wanted to do, so.
Got you. Have you played any volleyball post-college? Like seriously?
You might have like rec leagues, but no, not really.
Got you. Do
Yeah,
you
I
miss
mostly
it?
coach. Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I miss it more now, I think.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so you say you coach volleyball teams
So
now?
yeah, I'll coach volleyball. Not now, but that's typically like, after post-college, that's what I would do is coach.
Got you,
Yep.
got you. So in high school, you're playing sports. Were you really into like grades and academics or no?
That probably, I'm not the person to regret certain things. That's probably one of my regrets is that I didn't take high school a little more serious,
Right.
and that I didn't focus more on, even an athletic scholarship or just other things like that. So I feel like I was always smart.
Right.
Not trying to be like I was smart, but I feel like I was always smart. I just feel like me and school bumped heads.
Gotcha.
If I ain't like the teacher, if I felt like I knew more, it just wasn't a great mix. But I'm gonna get all of that because my son is just like me. So.
Oh, that's all right. How old is he?
He's 5, but
5.
I could just tell. He's so like me, so.
Oh yeah, that's coming back around.
Oh,
right?
Definitely. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to hone that in, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were you interested in outside of volleyball when you were in high school?
So I was most interested in art.
Okay.
And I would say art and like thrift shopping.
Okay.
I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money. We always had financial issues. But my mom was big on like thrifting. And so what became like, thrift store became like, oh, I love this. Like, you find all the best things,
Right.
People who love fashion and stylists, they always will be like, no, go to a thrift store. So things like that. So, but art, that creative side, that was the other side of me for sure.
Got you. Can you draw?
Yes.
Yeah.
But all the images that I do for African American the Beautiful are mine.
So I know you
Original.
designed them. I didn't know you
that's
actually.
that's my art. Yeah.
That's what's up.
So it starts off me drawing it, and then I draw it again on
Okay.
like a tablet or iPad, and then I put it on the shirt. So
When was the first time you drew one of your
2017.
2017?
Yep.
And where were you when you drew it? Do you remember where you were?
Oh, I was in my bedroom.
In your bedroom?
Yep. Uh-huh.
So was it purposeful, like, yo, I'm about to start this company?
It was out of a need for something else. I was on the phone with my mom, and I was just like, I wish there was something that embraced us as African Americans. Like, the fist is all good, but it reminds you of the struggle, how much we have more to come, Black Power.
Right.
And then you have the red, black, and green, which is mostly associated with Africa. So it's kind of like there's no in between. And I feel like we are so much more than just, not that those things aren't important, but we are authors, artists, creators, fathers, mothers, our traditions, our music,
Right.
All of that stuff. It was missing the mark for me. So I was just kind of like, I had the vision of this design, First Lady, that's why she's called First Lady, she's my
Right.
first design. And I was like, if it looks good on paper and I can do it, I said, then I might have something. So I drew her and a few others followed, and I was like, I like it. I think it would be dope to see and have. So it was more so just, like I said, my love of culture.
Right.
Me and my cousin will quote movies all
Listen,
day
don't
and
start
night.
me with
Songs
quoting
all
movies.
day.
Because I'm a movie head.
Look, it's ridiculous. So
Right.
it's just so much a part of us. And then we all are always, I don't think I've really ever met anybody that didn't love being Black. So I just feel like we have to, embark on what does that really mean
Yeah.
beyond movies and TV and sayings, just kind of something different. So I feel like this brand encompasses that,
Yeah.
it's saying it without having to say it.
Right.
And it doesn't have anything like, with America, it doesn't have anything to do with white people. It's all about the culture we've created here.
Yeah.
So in our history, everything.
Because you said we have to embrace what being Black means.
Mm-hmm.
What does being Black mean to you?
I just think we're a unique hybrid of a people that sets the tone and pace for the world.
Yeah.
I just think we're just a unique hybrid, and I feel like that can go any way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, I feel like my brand is kind of an umbrella for all of that.
Right.
You can kind of be whatever. Like if you love, we talk about the teachers, or if you're doing a podcast,
right.
It's like my brand doesn't limit you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't put you in a certain space.
It don't put you in a certain space. It's for everything.
Yeah, I know when we first met, it was a vendors event downtown, and I remember seeing your earrings. So it was like those, except for it was the circle
they
joints.
Were the hoops. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, your earrings are mad dope.
Yeah.
And so then we started talking, and that's when
right.
I was seeing your clothing and everything. I'm like, yo, that's a dope concept.
Right. I mean, it's hitting the mark where you didn't know it needed to be hit.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like we Black people get in this, part where it's like choose, Africa or like, the Afrocentric and all of this, or like you can be anti-America. It's like, but this is, unwillingly, sure, but this is what we made roses out of, and it's dope. Like it's to be embraced. It's like nobody can be like us. Our hair, the way we talk, our swag, our slang, our music and stuff is so different. Right. So it's just like, why not embrace that? Yeah. And if we moved, somewhere else, like, if we moved to Africa or Africans move here, it's still a difference.
And it's still our history too.
It's still a difference. It's still our history, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it's just embracing it.
How do you feel when you see other people on the streets with your work on?
It's humbling.
Yeah.
I think for me, the fact that somebody is like, oh, I think that's dope too, and they kind of resonate with it, I mean, it's, really humbling.
Because I know I've seen people out, and I just start smiling because I know
who did that.
Right.
For you. Yeah.
Have you ever seen somebody with your apparel on, and they didn't know who you were?
Not really. I think I try to make one encounter. Right. I was working out at this place, and I was like, I know her. She just bought from me.
Right.
But she never came back, so I never got to see it,
Gotcha.
to have that interaction. But no, typically, because I do, just like how I met you through the events and grassroots type marketing, doing these vendor events and things, a lot of people connect with me in that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So where did the earrings
So I'm just all about, like I said, creativity and design. So I was just trying to figure out something that I wanted to wear, something dope that would complement my brand, and this is what I, came up with and like. So I try to keep my whole thing for my brand is like, you see a lot of the colors, I kind of do the opposite. My brand stands out because it's a gray scale, it's a black scale, it's a white scale. And then because we're such a unique people, and we are colorful, we like to, swag it out on shoes or earrings. It's like you can do that still. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it also is the type of brand where you can wear it to work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's subtle, enough, you put a blazer on with it, it's artwork at the end of the day. Yeah. So it's that type of thing. And, my brand just kind of lines up in that same culture of like Juneteenth and HBCUs, and it's that line where it's like, it's neither one of those things. It's not fighting for a cause, and it's not necessarily just talking about our African heritage.
That's dope. So with it being African American, because I know when we did, when we were writing for the commercial that you, because you was like, yo, let's do a commercial, Claire. And I was like, oh, why I ain't think of that? Yeah. I was really trying to, me and DS together, we're trying to like understand the nuances that were that in between.
And embody that through the poetry, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So where do you think, because most of the time, there are, like you said, there wasn't that space, and so people just look from the Afrocentric side or the Black Power side. Right. Why do you feel like we're missing that middle portion?
I just think it's identity for us. I think it's healing for us to just embrace that. And like I said, I think that it's important because I think if you don't embrace it, it's like, well, what is Martin to us? What is the food we cook, you know what I'm saying, during Thanksgiving? What is that for us? What is Juneteenth for us? Right. What are HBCUs for us? What are, sneakers for us? What's
Right.
hip hop for us?
Right.
It's all in the middle. It's the same reason that I think FUBU was what it was at the time.
FUBU was
Crazy.
Yeah. After LL put it on, it was a wrap.
I mean, and then it's for us, but
For us,
who
by
else
us.
is doing that? Nobody.
Right.
Like, he was in that same lane.
Yeah.
So that's what I aspire to be.
Gotcha.
It's similar to that. So I just think it's needed. I think nothing's wrong with it. Even things like our black schools, in education, or our black plight of what we do stand for, the black family,
Right.
Black marriage, whatever. Those things are specific to us here, so.
And so you
important.
said family, you said marriage. So you are married.
I'm married.
And
I
have
just celebrated. Everybody's on here is gonna be like, ain't she 19? But no, I'm not.
Right.
I have a baby face. Baby faces run through my family. But no, I just celebrated my 11th year anniversary in July. So.
Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you.
That's a long time too for people to be married.
It is a long time.
Especially happily.
Happily. Healthy.
Man, that's
healthy marriage.
Because God, like over 50% of marriages wind up failing, and then God knows what the percentage is that aren't happy that are still together.
Exactly.
How does that? Because I've never been married, never been
Right.
engaged. How does that work within the black community, but then just as a marriage period by itself,
Right.
like how does that stay together? Like how do you do that for 11 years?
Right. For us, God was a foundation,
Gotcha.
for sure. So I know a lot of people say that, keep God first and things, but nah.
Right, like for real.
Like for real.
Yeah.
That's what holds us together. That's what holds us accountable. Because marriage is hard. Anybody married,
Right.
it ain't the same as
Right.
dating.
What's different about it?
I know that's the question. Everybody's like,
Right.
why is marriage so hard?
What's the difference about it? 'Cause
You know what? I think it's compromise. That's the
and
hard
I hate
part.
compromise.
Compromise. It's the worst. It's the I'm sorry. It's I'm not perfect.
Right.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, yeah.
And so y'all have how many kids?
So I have 2 boys,
Okay.
5 and 2, and then I have
that's right. You got a
young.
little baby.
Yeah, and then I have a bonus daughter who's 16. So.
A bonus daughter. I like that.
My husband had her at 17. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And she's how old you said?
16.
16.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that's practically my twin and my best friend. So.
Nice. So y'all have
we're close.
so y'all have a blended family.
We have a blended family.
Yeah.
Yep.
How
absolutely.
was that? Especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
before you and him had kids together.
It's definitely challenging. It depends on when you're coming into it.
Right.
But 11 years, I pretty much,
Yeah.
that's when we were married, not even when we were dating. So
Right.
I pretty much known her since she was a toddler. And I'm the only woman,
Right.
she knows her dad to be with. So it's a lot easier that way.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and as far as like, to answer your question originally about like marriage and why it's important in the black community or that black plight, is just because I feel like the black family is our first business.
Right.
Like we talk about businesses now and wealth and creating black wealth, but the black family and the black household is the first. Like just making sure your kids are, growing up in a healthy, like non-dysfunctional as possible type
Right.
household, I think does a world of good for our community, for our culture. Just, even if it's a co-parenting situation, y'all aren't together, just, a mature adult situation. I feel like that just does the best, best interest for the kids, that type of thing.
It seems to be so hard for people to.
I don't know. I don't know why.
Right.
You
She's
know?
like, yo, we good over here.
I mean, I think a lot has to do in your vetting process of who you're choosing. You know, this could be a whole marriage and dating conversation.
Listen, let's have it.
Look, but I definitely think it has to do with who you choose. I mean, this is the only person you can choose.
Right.
You know, like your mom, your brothers, your sisters. You can't choose them, but
Right.
this is the person you choose. So just choose wisely.
So what do you say to the woman? Because I've literally had conversations with women, and they was like, yo, it's so much easier for guys because men choose, women are chosen. Like, do you have that mindset, or do you feel like, no, I choose to?
You definitely make a decision.
Right.
I mean, I don't have to accept every guy that walks into
True.
my life. You know, if they're not a good match or a good fit, that's what the whole dating process is for. But I also wasn't necessarily just dating, I think, to have a good time. I think I was dating for somebody to be in my life long term. So that weeds out people right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Date.
Just being honest. And I think one of the things that I was, you know, when I was having a conversation with some friends, I said the biggest thing for me was when you go through things, who do you want to be there? Because the dude that just makes you laugh but ain't got nothing going for it.
Right.
You know, I just lost my mom this last year. He not gonna get me through that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like when it gets thick, I need somebody who can get through life's problems when we're not in our early 20s anymore.
Right.
In life, you know, and you do have kids. Who would I want to be a role model or father for my kids? And so knowing those things. But then if you do that and it doesn't work out, you know, being able to communicate and co-parent and do the best put feelings aside only towards the kid, you know, that makes the difference because it's not about you anymore.
Right. So how was that process of going through healing after your mom passed with your husband? And I asked because, so like I said, I've never been married.
Yeah.
But I don't go to funerals.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, funerals are just a thing in society that we do. It helps people kind of get to that next step. Sometimes I don't go to them. So I've always thought about, like, if I did get married, and let's say, you know, their mom or their brother or sister or whoever, somebody close to them passed, like, would I then go to the funeral? Because for me, not going is a coping mechanism that keeps me balanced and being able to move forward in life.
Right.
But in the same breath, if you need to be there for your significant other,
Right.
and you're not, like, how does that?
He definitely was there for me. He loved my mom too.
Right.
But I mean, that's where I needed him most. And
Yeah.
I needed him by my side, and I needed him to be supportive, and I needed him to be strong.
Right.
So I also grew up in a household. I have 3 older brothers. I'm the
Okay.
youngest and the only girl. So, and I have boys, so I
Spoiled.
can't get away. You
Spoiled.
know what? I didn't ask to be spoiled. I'm not the type of
But
person to
you
be
were,
spoiled,
though.
but they probably spoiled me.
Yes, they did.
But yeah, no, he was there. I mean, he was there, and he was hurt too, but he was there for me ultimately, and that's just what you got to do.
Right.
You know, sacrifice and compromise.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a lot of people, that changes the relationship in a negative way. When something catastrophic period happens.
It can, yeah.
And I've seen that play out with people that I know.
Yeah.
You know, movies, we see that all the time,
yeah.
but you know, art imitates life.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I've just been looking for the unlock in my mind as to how relationships actually work.
Right.
Because, you know, we know relationships are hard because people want to do what they want to do. They don't want to compromise. They're not ready. They don't know who they are.
Right.
All those things. But then even when you get two people who are intentional about each other, who really love each other, who are there, like, it's still hard from what I'm being told. And so for me, I'm like, and this is just a single person, black guy talking.
No, go ahead.
I'm like, so if it's so hard all the time, like, why would I want to do it?
Oh, man. Okay, so it's hard.
Okay.
But let me be clear, it's better than being
It's better.
single.
So being in a committed marriage.
For me.
Right.
It's, you know.
Why is it better than being single?
Because you just, and I can't even say it's better than being single, because there's happily single people.
Right.
Right?
I
Some
am.
days I'm like, yo. You just be traveling. You just take care of you. This is what you do.
Right.
You know, like it's cool.
Yeah.
But as far like if that's what you desire in a sense, I think just having somebody, because life gets hard.
Yeah.
And it's nothing. I feel like to be vulnerable, you can be tight. Like I was tight with my mom.
Right.
Right. I'm tight with my brothers. But what about when I need to talk about them? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just being
Right.
real. That's what your spouse is for you. You know, like just the, jobs and just knowing you in the most deepest, most intimate portions, the vulnerability, that's what makes marriage great. That's what makes marriage great. So,
See, that's scary to me.
it is, but you have to choose right. You know, that's kind of what, choosing that particular person, I
Right.
think goes ways heavier than people think. I think you just can't be choosing anybody. Yeah, I think it has to, and they don't have to be perfect.
Right.
We weren't perfect coming up. We weren't perfect coming together, but they have to be willing. You know, like we have to be both at least working towards that.
Right.
And let me also say, I did not come from a household. My parents were separated 20 plus years.
Okay.
Pretty much most of my life.
Did they ever get divorced?
They never got
Yo,
divorced.
older people, the
never
older
got
generation does not get divorced. They just like, yeah.
Y'all live separate. Y'all
Right.
don't really talk.
Or I know my grandparents that I knew that were living,
Yeah.
they stayed in the same house, but I never known them to sleep in the same bed.
I don't know. But you know what?
crazy.
But it's the blueprint, though,
Right.
for what you don't want and what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And more than anything, I think another acknowledgement that people don't want to acknowledge is that we're similar to our parents. But they're the book. So if you see what was going on in that situation or things that you see that seem to be similar, things you've heard, if your spouse says something, of course we might get defensive, but it's like if you look in the depths of you and be like, yo, my dad does that,
Right.
or my mom does that, and just try to change that and fix that and compromise that. Ultimately, that person chose to be with you and you chose to be with them, so they're not there to harm you,
Right.
or just dislike you in healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the keys to the game right there.
Yeah.
Is your history. You know what I'm saying? So if you, that type of thing, and just, gleaning from whatever your parents have said over the years or whatever, and just knowing like I'm gonna be a little bit different from that. I mean, I'm all about breaking generational curses, breaking cultural curses, just for the betterment,
Right.
for the people, for the generation behind us.
What's a generational curse that you've broken?
Being married this long. So I'm the only one married in my family.
Oh, wow.
Well, no, I'll take that back. My brother's married.
Okay.
But definitely happy, healthy marriage, the longest.
Right.
That's me. And then I was the first homeowner in my
Okay.
family. So that type of stuff for me
Right.
is helping my kids see something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I know you got a 2-year-old and you said a 5-year-old. Is your 5-year-old a creative? Do you think he's gonna be a creative?
I think he can draw.
Okay.
I think he can draw. So I think he'll be creative.
Nice.
And then my youngest, he loves to read. So that's not
Gotcha.
necessarily creative, but
Right.
I don't know what he can make out of that. You
A
know
lot.
what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, because once you dig into books, your mind
Yeah,
just
exactly.
can go.
So I'm pretty hype about that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
Do you want to play sports or it doesn't really matter?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If they
yeah.
want.
Right. But listen,
But
you
yeah, definitely.
rooting for sports.
Yeah,
like,
I am rooting for
sports.
sports. I am rooting for sports.
Basketball or any
Um,
sport, just sports in general.
I don't care.
Yeah, she's like, yeah,
As long as it's something I can sit and watch.
Gotcha. Right.
I don't want to be like, I ain't going to that. All right, did you do good?
Right.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah.
funny.
And then, hold on, I was just going to add too about the generational thing that popped up. So for my sons, it will be breaking that of my husband. He was 17, we had a baby.
Right.
So that's something we'd be working towards. Like,
Gotcha.
what didn't you have? What did you need? What would have got you through that situation?
Right.
So it's being proactive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I definitely think that's just.
Yeah, so they don't have to go through the things that,
Yeah, why?
right.
You know?
Pull your mic.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
she fell a little bit. You good. Just
Sorry.
making sure it caught you, but
But yeah.
Yeah, because there's no point, like, the next generation shouldn't have to go through everything
Right.
that we went through. And if so, then in some instance we fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement.
Especially if it's not taught. Now, if it's taught and they still do whatever,
Yeah.
then it's like,
That's different.
I told you, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do you want more kids?
I don't know.
She's like, I don't know, maybe someday. But,
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a big responsibility.
And it's a big responsibility being a mom and entrepreneur.
Right.
As a dude, you're taught to provide. So the grind is natural.
Yeah.
A grind for me is not natural because I still got to cook. I'm still mom.
Right.
People rely on me a lot more. So it's just until it switches, then the dads will be relied on. But right now it's me. So it can be tough.
Who do you look to that's a mompreneur that inspires you to kind of?
It is. I don't have anybody specific.
Okay.
I'm still looking for more and more of that. I definitely look at like Tabitha Brown, who wore my shirt. She's a mom, she's going for her dream. She has a family, things like that, or like people who are, at a higher, success spectrum than me at this point.
Right.
But as far as like a unit, I'm working on building that because I think it is needed. You have a lot of mompreneurs that are trying to do it, and it's tough. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So just trying to get that, community a little bit.
It's crazy
tighter.
You bring up Tabitha because I remember like I started getting messages of people were sending to me like, yo, the commercial for the girl you did, like, yo, Tabitha Brown has a shirt on.
I know.
And so I go on her page and I see it and I'm just like, yo, that's crazy.
It was crazy.
I bet.
It was fun.
So how did that come about?
So, honestly, I think I lucked up because it was right before she blew up.
Right.
And I followed her anyway because I thought she was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
And she used to do these things called Very Good Mondays. And she would freely send her stuff and she would just open it up, tell you what just easily, just one of her little segments that she did.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna send her something.
Right.
Of course I've been watching her for a couple years, and I was like, I'm gonna send her something. So I sent it, and I was like, okay. And it was like right when COVID kind of was starting to happen, and I'm like, okay, she may wear it. So that Monday came and went, and I was like, oh, she didn't wear it. Maybe it didn't get chosen because she gets sent stuff. So maybe it didn't get chosen or whatever.
Yeah.
So the crazy part is she didn't wear it that Monday, but she wore it that Wednesday. And which I wasn't expecting. She did me a solid because she wore it during one of her recipes. That's what she's known for. She's not known for Very Good Mondays. So she wore it from one of her recipes, and it was a popular recipe. And she wore that, and she wore some earrings from another designer. And she turned around so everybody could see my name.
Right.
And I was like, yo, this is unbelievable. And
Website
I was in the car.
Crazy.
Man, I was in the car. I was like, just like, I can't believe, I was just on cloud nine. But yeah, no, it was crazy just being real transparent. I think I made $8,000 that night. Like within a couple hours.
I already knew. Because I'm like, yo, people are messaging me.
Right, about it.
Right, and I'm like, I barely even know Nadia. Like, we
yeah.
got together, we did a little video, and that was it.
It was crazy.
Man.
But it was such a cool
rush.
And my mom got to experience that too, so it was insane. So it was pretty cool. She got me through 2020.
Word.
Shout out to Tabitha Brown.
Right.
She's the GOAT.
That's what's up. I was talking with a guy on the podcast, and he was talking about, having that influence.
Yeah.
And then being able to just spotlight other people. And he was talking about he doesn't understand why more people with influence don't do it more often.
Oh.
Yeah. We
have to remember that, though, when you get somewhere. When I get there. I think that we still trying to get mama into a house.
Right.
We're still trying to deal with our own, ambitions. And I think that's well and good, but I don't think it's anything if you can't give it away, give people an opportunity just more of those opportunities. Why not?
Especially because if it's dope, it's dope.
Right. That's the thing too.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying put anybody
Right,
on
of course.
it. Just, it's like, what are you bringing to me, sir?
Right.
But yeah, definitely just giving people an opportunity or a chance to showcase and shine. I think that's a cultural thing too. You know, where it's kind of like, you ain't gonna embarrass me, or we're trying to, make sure that we look
A certain way,
prim,
buttoned up all the time.
Yeah, but nobody cares no more.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It's whatever. So it's just kind of like, why not put people on?
Right.
If you can.
And that's dope because I know, you say you're from Charlotte, so she's from North Carolina as well.
Yeah,
And so for her to just be like, obviously to look at it and understand
Right.
like, yo, this is dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me throw this on.
Right. And see, the thing is too, game to that is I had inventory. So you need inventory to be able to make the money.
You gotta be ready.
You gotta be ready. Even though you can do some back order stuff, it's like, it's good to be ready.
Yeah.
But then also, I sent her whole family stuff. So it wasn't just her.
Right.
She just was who was in the camera, but I sent everybody stuff. So you
And
look at it
I know
again
that
and
played a
again.
part too because
Yeah.
she's like, yo, she wasn't just thinking, oh, let me get
Right.
my stuff on.
Exactly.
Of course, that's part of it,
Right.
but yo, like here's stuff for your family.
Yeah, and her husband wore it for a Kev on Stage podcast.
Wow.
Right, which was, I love honestly, it's worth it just to go listen to the podcast. It's just a phenomenal conversation, but he wore the shirt during that. And then her daughter, her bonus daughter has worn it. So I mean, it goes through and through. They still got it.
That's crazy.
So that's cool.
And that's how it happens in business, when you least expect it, because you thinking, oh, Monday, maybe, no, okay, she ain't wear it.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And then boom, Wednesday.
Boom. It
Here we go.
was even better.
Right.
So I was just like, wow.
That's wild.
So it was dope.
So when you started the business, I know you said you like, okay, I want to think of something that represents who I am and who I feel like there's a niche for,
Right.
where we can kind of move into that middle ground a little bit. Had you already kind of like started the business beforehand, or did it start after that? What kind of spurred that?
So I was a teacher. I know we talked about it a
Right.
little bit before we maybe started. So I was a teacher pretty much full time. And this was just a part-time gig. I had just got out of having my first child and doing another type of business. I like thrift shopping, so I had a mobile boutique
Okay.
out of a daycare bus. My seats were out and it was boutique, and I would go to events and do thrift because that was my other love.
Right.
But then I passed that business aside, sold the bus. And so I was a teacher, but it was like, I would say around 28, I was still teaching and stuff. That's when I just really got into entrepreneurship and having this kind of life and flexibility for yourself and not really having a cap on what you can make and just, that type of thing. So I just kind of fell in love with learning more about that.
Right.
And so I, as a teacher, was doing it. It was just an idea.
Right.
And I did it part-time, just coming out of another business. It was like,
Yeah.
But I was like, because it took me a while to kind of get serious about it.
Okay.
So, and any teachers, it's a grind. It's not just teaching the kids or when the bell rings. It's like you're doing things after.
At home, yeah.
So it takes up a lot of time. So eventually when I kind of got serious about it, I would say in 2018, and I did my first event, that's when it was like, oh, okay. But before that, no, I had sat on it, the designs and the concept, at least 9 months, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So your first event, what was that like? Were you I know you were nervous. You was like,
I was nervous. I'm texting like, my family on the group chat. I sold a shirt,
Right.
like, I can't believe I sold my first shirt. Like somebody else likes it, but
Right.
it was cool.
But
Yeah.
then you got proof of concept.
Proof of concept. It's all
Because
about.
it only take one. Because
Only
it's one
take
and it's a
one.
million.
Look, exactly.
Yeah.
But I did well, and people hadn't seen it before, so.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have something unique and different that people
Always.
haven't done or haven't seen. Like even you wearing the socks, like that's unique and different. Like
Right.
people want to see something else.
Yeah.
Definitely, we don't want to see the same old thing 15 million different times.
Because we do.
Ugh, it's
We do.
overdone.
It is overdone. Why do you think people overdo? Why do you think people just completely copy?
I don't know. I don't know. I think that we have to be more confident in what we bring to the table. That's all I did, like even where we are in Good Trip, like this art is beautiful,
Right.
And it's dope. But if I try to be like that as an artist, it's not gonna work. I
Right.
can still be a genius and still be brilliant and still be great in my own lane,
Yeah.
I think. And so if my art is line art and that's what I do, somebody's gonna appreciate it and they can appreciate his too.
Right.
It is, or, I think that it's just about letting us be free in who we are creatively, and not boxing us in. That's kind of where you get everybody's trying to be a rapper, or, everybody wants to play a sport.
Right.
If your kid can draw, tell them to animate.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Tell them to be a designer. We
Yeah.
need it more and more and more.
There's so many options of things. There's a million and
Man, the black
One.
business market is wide
open.
wide open. And who knows us better than us? I had to come to terms and realize that. Because I was like, oh no, I'm going to, cater to everybody. Not realizing it's a gold mine just within ourselves. Because who knows us better than us? Nobody. If Walmart is trying to market to us, Target, whoever.
Everybody.
They're trying to market to us now, right? But they still don't know us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is when you get that real nice stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like Inspired, or you get my brand, or get certain things where it's just like, you can't mimic that.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we know
Where that came
from. So I just feel like we just have to embrace that more, what people are putting on the table. If you got a kid that loves tech, it's like, yeah, you should be an engineer.
Right.
We need black engineers too. We need everything.
Bad.
We need everything, That's how we, come up a little bit more and have everybody in all the industries. But those few people that are in those top industries, they can't help everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of pressure and weight to do that. So I just feel like we just need more and more and more.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it starts with the black family too, because if they're dealing with dysfunction or they're dealing with other things where they got to go to therapy later, their life's not going to really even start until later. And I feel like that's a disservice. Like, we got to get them young on something different.
It's crazy because my last guest, he was talking about like how he winged it, and it had some dysfunction in his family growing up. Although happy, it still was, a lot of dysfunction. And so he was like, man, had I known this particular thing 10 years prior to,
Man, listen.
I would have been so much further along. And he's like,
agree.
I'm just now kind of really understanding who I am.
Right.
Although other people was looking at me like, that's such and such, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
is he in his 30s? I heard 30s are like that. Oh, okay.
He's a little, I'm 38, he's 39.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard 30s is kind of like that, where it's just like you really started to kind of come into your own.
Yeah, I mean, I even think about myself. There was just a whole lot of stuff that I just didn't know. I was always the type where I always kept my eyes and ears open though. Like I was looking for the things that I didn't know.
Right.
But even now, there's still certain things I don't know. But now I know what I don't know.
Right.
So now I can like strategically or really like look for those things or fill in those gaps until then. So yeah, I'm wondering what, 40 plus is gonna be like as far as.
40s are lit.
You say her 40s
I
are
heard
lit?
they are. I mean,
But see,
especially for singles too, because I think people are like trying some situations that ain't working out, and then they coming back on the market, and it's just more of a vibe, I think. But I don't know. That's what I heard. So.
we gonna listen. We gonna find out.
Right. It's the inevitable.
Cause I'm like, I look at my 20s, and a lot of people's 20s. I look, doing whatever. And then 30s, you're like, okay, you're starting to figure out more things and make some traction, some headway. And so I'm like, yo, if I gotten this far and I still got a couple more years to go before I hit 40.
Exactly.
So, 40 to 50, like, yo, we should be all right.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. So.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because when I was super young, when I was, a teenager, 40 was old.
Right.
Like, and now people don't think of 40
not at all
as old at all, and it's not.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that until you're like
Yeah.
either 40 plus or when you're right there at
Right.
40. It's like, oh, it's.
I mean, teenagers think they're gonna be teenagers forever, and so that's what I think.
Did you think you were gonna be a teenager forever?
I think in my mindset,
In your mind?
like I thought, like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna be like that. But it's like we all, you know, it goes full circle. I think it's hilarious.
I, as a teenager, I was just ready to be grown.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be grown because I didn't want to have to listen to anybody else.
No, exactly.
Right.
Definitely.
But see, a lot of people get to adulthood and they're like, oh, I want to go back. I don't want to go back
I don't know that I want to go back
at all.
But I did like the freedom of like no cares, no worries. No.
I'd much rather have all the cares, the worries, the bills.
Really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yo, I really love being a
Independent,
real
boring.
adult, like for real.
Yeah,
That whole kid stuff was too
Yeah.
much for me.
I feel you. It's embracing the moment, so I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then the whole business game is it fun to you?
Yeah.
I know you said it's a grind that you're kind of getting used to, but
I'm learning to enjoy it more.
Gotcha.
Because you start to be so focused on pushing the brand, getting more exposure, telling people about the brand that you don't enjoy,
right.
you know, where you are and where you've come from. And
I think creating a game within
yeah,
that part.
yeah. And I think too, I've made many mistakes as an entrepreneur.
Oh, haven't we all?
Man, still making mistakes.
Yesterday.
Right, exactly. An hour
Yesterday.
ago. But for me, I think I'm learning to focus on what I do best, which is designing,
Right.
and positioning myself and my business in a place where I can do that and do that to the greatest possible, you know, potential. And then I have others that believe in the brand just as much as me that can rise to the occasion on other things.
Right.
Instead of me doing everything. Because, I mean, even on my Instagram, I don't have a whole lot of followers, but probably all the followers that met me
Right.
because I've been at that event. You know what I mean? Or they've, you know, talked to me, or whether it's through emails or whatever. You know, I'm everything. I'm inventory. I'm customer service.
Right.
And that's not how you should do your business. You got to do your business at what you excel at the most, and delegate and offset. So I'm looking forward to that. And your business goes through waves and things,
Yeah.
but if you just keep it so tight to you as your baby, you'll burn yourself out.
All the way out, right?
All the way out. So you just can't do that. So I think that's what's going to make it more fun
Yeah.
all the time for me. Yeah.
So you mentioned like a team of people.
Mm-hmm.
How did your team of people, who are those people and how do they kind of?
Right now, you know, they're like my family
Right.
and friends, who, you know, they're just my ride or dies. It was my mom, my dad, my brothers, my husband. I have a cousin who's also like a best friend to me. She's a big part of my team. So just those people, just idea-wise and stuff. We're starting to kind of expand, you know, a little more out of the state.
Okay.
And do more, you know, beyond just online. So I'll have to have more of an organized team
Right.
that can grind it out and do it, and not, you know, necessarily just family.
Right.
And again, right now it's, you know, a hustle because I'm part-time mom, part-time business, especially during COVID. My kids were home.
Right. I heard
So
that
now,
was
so
crazy.
now they're starting to go back out. Thank the Lord. So now it's getting back to that, you know, where it doesn't have to be part-time, it could be full-time.
Yeah.
And putting all that energy into that. But even with that, you know, you still need that support to grow it to how you need to grow the
Right.
business.
So where's that growth gonna take the business? What does that look like?
I would love to be the next FUBU from a female version.
Right.
You know, FUBU, I think, catered more towards men. Even though they had a female line, I think I have more of a female eye.
Right.
You know, and then I have a guy line as well, like, you know, associated with it, or guy designs. So I would love to do that.
How does that happen? How do you get to that point?
Meet Damon John. No, I don't know.
Right. Look, Shark Tank, right?
Right, exactly. I think just the people that I follow and admire the most in this industry is like support Black colleges.
Yeah,
they're
they're dope.
amazing. God is Dope. The guy
Okay,
Sherrod, love them. Who else do I follow? David Shands, he does the podcast. Sleep is for
I'm
Suckers.
trying to bring them here.
Oh, really?
Because you know they're doing a live tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they went to LA, they went to Houston. They're supposed to be in Charlotte. This episode won't be out for a little while.
Yeah.
So I got some inside information. They're supposed to be in Charlotte next Sunday, but they haven't announced it yet.
Stop.
And so I'm in talks with bringing them here because I think people like that, to your point, are super important in what's going on within Black culture, Black business, Black entrepreneurship.
They put people up on game.
They do.
So I think just following my mentors, will help get me there because their brands are there. So I feel like for me, that's why it's even more important just building my team, making sure my structure is together, my processes are together, because that's what I think is most important.
Right, sound like Donnie now.
Right, exactly. There you go.
Donnie is on them processes.
I know.
She's
right though, getting that together. So then when you bring the team in and they start going to work.
Plug and play.
Exactly, then it's only a matter of time, And I would be fine with being the next God is Dope.
Listen.
Ain't even gonna lie. Look, he makes bread, like, easily. And I love their podcast too.
So how did they, because you're talking about brands that, you kind of want to be like or emulate as far as success goes. How did those brands get to be where they were? Because Damon John didn't.
Oh gosh. You know what though? Honestly, I'm starting to, it is a grind, and it's doing what you do and being kind of found in that right place at the right time, but being prepared. I think that's why she talks about processes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you don't know when your opportunity is. Because Damon John, he said he grew up around, Queens with those people, but then, LL, that was an opportunity for him, right? And somebody gave him an opportunity and put him on. I think my part is to be kind of ready and keep doing what I'm doing, even though it can get long, even though you want to quit, at times. But I think that on the flip side of that, it's also somebody who's going to give the opportunity.
Right.
Because everybody got put on one.
Everybody got put on one place or another. And I think unless you just are, publicity genius, right.
Where you just get.
And most of us aren't.
Right, and most of us aren't. I think I heard about, was it the baby? I think he wore the diaper at Southwest by Southwest.
Yes, South by
it's
Southwest.
South by Southwest. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like he was all in.
Because who would do that?
Who would do that? And even if, they're going to be like, you got music. I have to listen just for the fact that
you have a diaper on. You're a grown
clearly.
Man.
So I just think either that's going to happen.
Right.
And you get your opportunity, you're making your opportunity,
right.
And it's in a bold, unapologetic way, or somebody's going to give you an opportunity, and I think either is fine.
Right.
It would be great to get it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, otherwise, you got to really be like, what can I do to set yourself apart from everybody?
Everybody.
There's
a lot of bodies.
And it's a lot of bodies, and it's a lot of good bodies, you know?
Right.
So it's like, what am I going to do? So I just think it's a matter of having the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think we're any different than the people who have already made it.
True.
Just besides the opportunity.
Yeah, man. It's, you just said, there's certain times where you want to quit.
Oh yeah, all the time.
All the time?
All the time.
I know a lot of people who would mimic the same statement. And people have asked me that before.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, nah,
it's because you're perfect, no. I'm a little perfect, look.
Perfect. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get the sentiment. Because stuff get hard sometimes, real hard. What's made you want to quit?
Honestly.
I'm curious.
I think I'm just emotional.
So I'm like,
I can be
really
dramatic.
A girly girl.
Well, I just think, and I'm not even saying that, just because I'm a girl, because I don't think all girls are emotional.
Right,
I
of course
am,
not. Right.
though. And I think that anything that ain't gonna go, that does not go how I
Right.
wanted it to go, I'm like, it ain't meant to be.
Like Tabitha didn't wear it on Monday.
Yeah,
It's all right, I quit.
I ain't never gonna make it. So I have to get out of that. I have to mature a little bit more in that aspect because entrepreneurship is not for the faint
Right,
of heart.
it is not.
I think you have to be persistent, which I have that about my personality too. So I could have just quit 3 hours ago and I'd be like, all right, I'll see y'all later. I got an event. So
Right.
that's totally my personality. But things that have just made me want to quit, probably just things that aren't going my way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you have a family too, you know, a growing family, you know, finances or the fact that you have to be gone all the time or, you know, you can't just focus in on, you know, like, oh, let's do this today. It's like, I got to work, I got to grind, I got to, you know, that part.
And that part, like, especially with the family and kids, that weighs heavy.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm mom.
Yeah.
You know. So, and then you just don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let anybody down. So I think that I have to also remember that I think it's probably more important that my kids see that I was an entrepreneur.
Because you're that example, right?
I'm the
right
example.
In the house.
Right, exactly, in the house, and that they see, you know, that, well, I remember my mom, you know, she would do her thing. She did it through art. She did it through apparel. She did it, you know. So I think that that's important too. It's important even for my bonus daughter. She sees it.
Yeah.
She'd be out there with me too.
That's
so, you know, it's kind of like working is an option, but you don't have to, or whatever you feel like you want to do. So I feel like it'll be something that I'll never give up on.
Right. And you shouldn't.
And I shouldn't. And even if it has to take more of a backseat,
right.
I'm not going to, you know, just till my kids get a certain age or, you know, whatever case may be, I'm not going to give up on it though.
Right.
So, if I believe in it.
I think it's super dope. And I mean, I'm always analyzing stuff. So when I first met you and I'm like, yo, like African American, I'm thinking about the design a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's dope. But then I know, like I said, when we wrote the poem, that's when I was really able to like sit with your brand in my brain.
Right. What was that like?
You're the first person to ask me a question on my podcast.
I'm curious to know because I feel like it's such a, you know, interesting lane. So
it was very interesting. So first I reached out to DS Will.
Love DS.
Love DS. And I'm like, yo, bro, like, I got a project.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do, da da da. She came up with the idea, but I could have easily just wrote it myself. But I was like, yo, I feel like we should write this piece together. He was like, I don't know how that's gonna turn out. So I'm like, literally like trying to convince him, like, bro, I promise you. He was like, well, you know, your style, my style.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, but just trust me. So what we did was we kind of, we split it up and I told him, I was like, I don't want it to be back and forth in big blocks all the way through.
Right.
I was like, I want to go back and forth kind of, you know, in larger blocks, but then leave a sentence in mid-sentence and then let me finish and I'll do the same thing with you.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how we wound up writing it. But when I was sitting and I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, I've never been to Africa. I've never even been out of the country. And so that made me think about the fact that as a black person who, and we know how the country is with racism and oppression and things of that nature, and I speak out against that and I'm, you know, against all of that, but at the same time, I never wanted to leave America.
Right.
So that really made me.
What does that mean?
Right.
I had that question on my Instagram. I was like, should we be fighting for America and Black America and everything that we have to go through, or would people rather just leave and go to Africa?
Right.
And
for real.
they said yeah, but I'm with you.
But ain't none of them left.
But ain't none of them left. We still here. We're gonna
still
be here
right
till we
here.
die.
Right.
So, you know, what does that?
Because they was like, oh, if Trump win, I'm leaving. And
Some might have.
Very few. Nobody we know left.
Nobody we know.
Most Def was out a little while ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's when it really made me think about, like, okay, like, what is it to be, you know, let's put the African part aside real quick what is it to be an American
Yes.
as a black man?
Ooh.
And so as I'm going through that,
Yeah.
and I didn't have these conversations with DS. I just kind of was internally having them.
Yeah.
And then I would see what he wrote, and I'm like, ooh, he killing it. I got to make sure I kill it too, just as far as the writing portion. But I'm really like looking like, okay, this is what this really means to me to be a black person, but also in America, but be happy with being in America. Because low key, people are like, why have you never traveled? Like, and I've had plenty of opportunities to get my passport and go places, but I'm kind of low key scared for real.
Yeah.
And you would think I would be more scared to be here, but I'm like, yo, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's over there, or
I mean, it's definitely on my bucket list for sure.
Right.
I definitely want to go. People say they love it
Yeah.
there, but then I feel like I would be naive to feel like that this isn't my home though either.
Yeah.
You know, even just if you think about family
right.
and the roots that have been built here. Yeah, I'm okay with this too.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But I really was able to appreciate your brand even more so
Right.
through
The
that process,
perspective.
which I didn't even really think, oh yeah, we're gonna write a poem, we're gonna do a commercial.
Yeah.
But then as I'm writing, because that's a serious thing for me,
Right.
I'm just like, yo, like I'm really understanding what she created,
Right.
and why
that's
she
why
created
I
it.
asked.
Yeah.
You know, because I think it's,
Yeah.
good for us to articulate that.
It is.
Because I don't think the first reaction should be like, it's like, but that's who we are.
That's
though.
who we are. Let's explore that.
Yeah, explore that, and it has nothing to do with white people. It's all about us and our culture and what we've created. You know, the simple fact that you can be like, "Hey, girl," or "Yep," you know what I
Right.
mean? Just how, whatever. The fact that we call, "Hey, my Dukes," that's Dukes. My brothers always just call my mom that. Or the fact that we just like, shoe game, or who Jordan is to us, or just different people that are famous that we look up to. I mean, people don't get that. I mean, we're very niche, and I think that is okay. I think we need to be embracing that.
I think so too. I think I'm gonna put that commercial at the end
Yeah.
of this episode.
Then you posted about it too, like
yeah, I post all the
Naughty
time.
Essence, something. You was like, it's still one of my favorite
Yes.
verses or something. Like, no, y'all hit it. Like, that's why I don't know if you were looking for me to be like, can y'all change? I was like, it's perfect. It might be, I was like, it might be a little long.
Yeah, it's a little long for a
I said, but
commercial.
it's perfect.
But I got so much feedback from that, and that's why people, when they seen Tabitha with the brand on, they were hitting me because it had like really got out there, and every so often I'll post it again, and new people will see it and connect with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how I can change it to a reel or something, because I think it would be cool.
I can I know how to do a little bit of editing.
Do a
now.
little editing or something, make
so-
it kind of cool. I
so
think reels are like a minute now.
For real?
I think they can.
Not
I think
mine. Maybe you gotta have a certain amount of followers.
I don't know.
'cause
I
my
thought I
reels
read an
is
article.
30
Maybe they were
seconds.
changing it. Maybe TikTok is the one that submitted, but
Quite possibly. I don't know, but I can do a couple things with it, with the editing, or chop out
that'd be cool.
little scenes. And
Get
we
it
can
out
do
there
that.
more.
Right. Yeah, I think like I said, I'm gonna throw that at the end of this, because I feel like people who are watching the podcast who may never have followed either one of us
Right.
should be able to see it. And I think that's something, it's a timeless piece. Like it doesn't
Right.
talk about
Exactly.
something just in a particular time frame. I don't even remember when we did it, to be honest with you.
Oh.
It's been
I don't either.
COVID was a while, so it's been at least
so
2
it's
years.
been at least 2 years.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I think it represents the brand, and I think that if people really sit with it, then they'll have some of those same thoughts that I had.
Exactly. And even the fact that it's spoken word.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
can't get more African American than that.
Right.
That's all day.
This is true. Did we create spoken word? We probably did. Created everything else
created
just about.
yeah.
Right. Everything else except
Man.
racism.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm really enjoying watching your brand grow.
Thank you.
It's inspiring for me,
Oh.
not just as a writer, but as a fellow business owner. And then it's something that I can point to when somebody's talking to me. Well, what can I do? Or what can I, and I'm like, yo, like, and I literally will send people and I'm like, yo, check out her stuff. Like, it's different. It's speaking to people in a certain kind of way that people have spoken before, but there's a difference from it. And so find that difference in how you can do something or how you can portray something or say something. So, you know, your business gives me another person, another entity to point people to say, yo, like, yeah, it can be done. Yeah. Like, it ain't just Inspired, it ain't just whatever. There's other people out here that are doing the same or similar or bigger things than what I can explain what I'm doing with my business. Right. So I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Just for that.
Likewise.
I appreciate it. So in the beginning, I asked you, who do you think you are? Now we're gonna wrap up and I'm gonna ask you, who do you think you will be?
I think I will be a millionaire one day.
Listen, the millionaire vibes today. I'm with it.
And you know, and leave a legacy for my kids. Even if I don't become, you know, I want to be a millionaire because I want to be able to do more for my community and my culture.
Right.
That's not just a selfish ambition for me. But I want to leave a legacy for my kids as well, even if it's just the house that we bought, you know, that they can leverage or use for their own aspiration and dreams. That's who I want to be. I want to be a good mother. I want to be a wife for years to come.
Right. 11 more, right? Plus.
11 more plus.
Yeah.
And I want to make my God proud. I want to make my community proud. I want to make my culture proud, my family proud. I think that's more of what I'm thinking about. Even when I lost my mom, I felt like I made her proud. So
that's important.
That's important, I think, to not embarrass or not. Yeah, I think it's more important than we give it credit for.
I think so too.
To acting how we're supposed to act, acting our age, acting like my mom, acting like a business owner, acting, you know, I think that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's dope. You just said, you know, you feel like you made your mom proud, and I know my mom told me she was proud of me after my second show, I think it was. And that was the first time, I didn't even realize that was the first time I heard my mom say that since I played basketball in high school.
Wow.
And so that resonated with me just now, and I think when other people hear it, it'll resonate with them as well, because sometimes we do things in life and we're not on our path or for whatever reason, but if you kind of think like, yo, let me make my parents proud.
I think the Bible even says like a verse or something about how your kids are your crown. And I don't know, I think when you go through things, and of course some things are unfortunate and you know, people make decisions, you can't control people, but I just think it's such a better decision to choose to do something that's gonna make somebody else really proud, have something to talk about.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not the negative. I think, you know, when I grew up, I was kind of, you know, you would hear certain things about things that were happening that were horrible, and I think I'm over that. Like I think I'm over hearing about our people getting killed over something senseless.
Right.
I think I'm over, you know, people being addicted, you know, because of such dysfunction that was going on when a dad just needed to step up, a mom, just like simple things that just needed to nurture that. I think I'm over that for our community. I think we need to be looking towards something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Right. Y'all make sure
it.
I'm gonna put the commercial for her brand right after. Y'all make sure y'all go to her website. I'll put the link below.
African American the Beautiful. Check it out.
Bet.
That'd be great.
The ascension from peril defines the appeal of this apparel.
The contours of couture culture that never curtail what we fashion. Avenues aren't two ways despite being on the same page.
This is the rendition of rebels that stand beside the
East side of that anthem we call
freedom. Ringing bells on that door of opportunity.
Fresher than any prince giving props to poppers on their runways. Cover me, we're going in. With Outcast,
Fresh and clean, players balling at the sight of
these vines. You heard it here first.
Trailblazers, porting lands where our footprints blueprints
Are
are
our
our
hands
hands
molding lengthy lessons charted from
from West Africa to West Coast.
Where ivory eyes witness the zest of a caged dove until our tone can leave behind the history that's fully clean.
Africa. We wear our home on our bosoms because the beat of ancestral drums dance pride inside our spinal cavities.
America. We wear our beautiful restraint in conjunction to represent our constructions.
And no matter the criticism, we know this land continues
To
to
bow
bow.
at our chocolate referendums.
If revolution has a soundtrack,
We are the voices relayed to the walking beats of our own drums. If it had a symbol,
we are the tattoos stitched in the blueprints too vogue to brand.
From posh to rugged,
Swank to urban.
native tongue to universal language. Squint with eyes shut open to capture this tapestry of the motherland.
You can never set the children of the sun. Dial to know our time was yesterday, but
We enjoy the challenge of catching up to the memories of tomorrow.
Wear your pride.
Adorn your passion.
Clothe your potential. Accentuate your peaks,
Body your soul.
No need to be in style when the style's in you.
Swooning futures, winning rhetoric announced by a walk where steps represent the elastic falls of ancestors that forged the path for us to bounce back to static, no matter the tides that came before to rinse us away.
You are everything. Two worlds emerged through a powerful erosion, bolted to a floor of naughty essence nobody can ship anywhere. We built two lands
and only stole ourselves
in a heist that rings free
on our chest.